Where's Tracy? She is. Okay. Hey there. Live on Facebook. Y'all ready?
Yep. Just having issues with the video going on and off. Here we go. Here we go. Got it
I
on.
have been having Zoom issues for days. I don't even.
Zoom and my, it appears that Zoom and my camera are not always compatible.
Oh, I have a computer that doesn't seem to be holding the internet well, and it's a new computer. So I think we're live.
Hey, no, I don't see the live thing on here.
Oh, you don't?
No, did you go through Zoom or?
Sharing. Yeah, hold on. Should be going through Live Leap. Okay.
Usually it says recording live.
No, I know. It says preparing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Are we? Tech. What is it preparing for? Apocalypse?
What apocalyptunity? What did Michelle call it today? Hilarious.
Yes, that's her whole.
I can't even say that word.
Opportunity. That's her whole talk for. Why is it still? It's still preparing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it says stop live stream. So are we live or are we not live? It didn't give me the place to. Let's go over to this page. Sorry, you guys. We never quite know what we're doing.
No, it never quite notifies us, does it?
Oh.
Where are our pages?
What are you wearing? You're wearing blue today, so we're not on.
So that's not today. I don't know. I could be wearing the same one every week.
Every week.
It's my Monday outfit.
Okay.
No, I don't know what
stop. Hold on. I'm gonna stop the live stream. Let's try it again. Live on Facebook. My timeline, page I manage.
I'm not seeing anything, so
I have to get. I don't want that page. I want it to slide down there. There we go. Marketing Monday Mixer. Okay, preparing. Okay, at least it asked me for the right things this time.
Okay, good. We're on our way now. I'm on the page waiting to see it. So it doesn't look like we went live before.
Publicity.
Who's also here? Oh, we got Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hopefully I spelled publicity right. All right. You never can tell with me.
And now we're streaming live.
Okay. Well,
hey, everybody.
Get everything going here.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Marketing Monday Mixer. I'm Tracy Hazard, and I'm with Juliet Clark. Yay. And we are, this kind of a hot button for me. So this is a hot topic today. We are talking platform publicity power. And, this is one of those things where I just get so annoyed when people think they can just start in and and get PR, get publicity instantly. I don't know how many times I keep saying to people, it doesn't really work like that. And I say this from the point of being the media, right? So I know exactly where we're coming from because I would turn you down if you were coming to me. And so, so that's really scary if that's the case. So this is where I'm always really careful. And the advice that we give and the way that we do it, it's important. So it's important to do it right. So, and one of the things that I am really a big important part of is what we call platform. And so I just want to define that. How about that, Juliet? Should we define that?
You can define that.
You don't want to?
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So platform is basically your website and what Google says you are. It's those two things. Like, how searchable are you? Right. So when I am a writer for Inc. magazine, I'm going to Google you and check you out to say, are you really who you say you are? You're giving me a pitch, but are you interesting enough? Then I'm going to check out your website. And then I'm going to check out the dates, the age of everything, how long you've been doing this, things like that. Now, when I'm a consumer on the other side, not just media, platform matters to me too. So be thinking about this. This has just happened to me this past weekend. So I was looking for an exercise. Normally I do this arm exercise with exercise bands, but my elbow is in pain. Like, I have a pain in my elbow. I'm going to get acupuncture this weekend on Friday, but it's been hurting me every time between the acupuncture appointments. So I'm like, I need something where I have an exercise that can help my muscles in my arms, but something where I don't have weights or bands. And that sounds like a crazy idea, but I thought, let me Google it and see what happens. So I Google it. I didn't find anything really interesting, but because I Googled it and because of tracking and everything, on Instagram pops up this woman who's got this exercise program on how to do this, right? Yeah, exactly. Some kind of like, yeah. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, great. Let's check this out. And then a couple of, so I saved the video. I didn't have time to watch it. I saved it. And then because I saved it, some other guy popped up with some other exercise a day, half a day later. So I went and watched his first. And I checked it out and I thought, well, that sounds really interesting and that's really doable. It's not that difficult. I can definitely accomplish this. But then I went to check him out. So the first thing I did was, he's hawking a book and a course and a program and all of that. But he did give the exercise eventually in the video. But I had to sit through 40 minutes before I got to it.
Seriously?
I know, 40 minutes. Yeah. But I just turned it on, and then because you had no ability to like move it through the program or anything, right? No ability to forward or anything. So, yeah. So it's a tip, watch those videos, like those landing page videos and all of those things, watch them on your phone because you can move them forward, not easily and not with high control, but you can move them forward on your phone, but you cannot if they block it on the computer, but it doesn't block it on the mobile device. Just a tip. But anyway, so but he had a book. His book was out since 2006. It wasn't like he was just new to this thing. Right. But the woman, I went to check hers out and I thought her exercise was maybe just a little bit better, like a little bit more for women. And so like, it's just a little bit better. And I thought, her exercise really, I'm going to give her a chance and I'll try this. So I'm trying hers out. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to try hers out this week and see if it hurts my elbow or not. But when I went to check her out, I was like, there's no way I'm going to sign up for a program. There's no way I'm going to do anything because I can't even find her website. She's never had a book out. This is obviously a brand new program. Like, it's just too new to make it valuable to an audience, right? And so when I think about that, that's media. It's the same on the consumer side. So your platform is your true power in proving that you are the expert you say you are.
And the tip for the other guy, do not wait for 40 minutes in, because most of us aren't as patient or desperate as Tracy was to alleviate the pain that we would wait 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was researching. I would not have listened if I was researching to see his model. Like, I do that sometimes and I happen to have time. So I was just kind of leaving it on while I was cooking and doing something else. So I was watching it, but I know if he had done that and had done the like typical, let me give you my sob story first, I would have been out of there. Like if it had been a normal day. So yeah, definitely that is not the place to be doing. I mean, it's not the time anymore. No one has the time for 45 minutes, but then you make a pitch and then you give them the thing. That's just, it's not cognizant of how people are working right now. But anyway, let's get back to the platforms. So Julia, I know this is your hot button. Scientific background, research papers, like, do you have anything to back up what you're saying?
So I have to tell you, and I've got a couple stories about it. People bring us book ideas all the time. And probably a year ago, we had someone bring us a book idea. She said she cured her autistic children with essential oils. Well, unless you have scientific data to back that up, and you're not a doctor or something like that, you shouldn't have those ideas out in the public. I mean, not that you can't do them with your friends if they're open to it, but that's not something that is mass consumable. You could really open yourself up to some major lawsuits over that. And then I know Tracy and I had somebody who considers herself a gut specialist who has no education whatsoever. And we had a nurse come along. I had a nurse come along who specializes in that. And it's much easier to take an RN who has that sort of background and build a platform than it is somebody who doesn't have the education, the background, that, you know, there's a lot of stuff there that's credibility, but it's not just that credibility. Think about the liability behind. I mean, doctors have malpractice insurance. Even psychologists have, you know, practitioners that, and things like that. They've been trained, and there are so many people out there that are building platforms off of something that they quote healed themselves. And that's great, but you can do a lot more harm than good with things like that. And you really have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and look, it's okay if you're starting out. Like, I don't want you to scare you off that you're starting out and that's hard. It is hard. But the sooner you get things into your platform, the easier the publicity is going to be. And that's what I want to reset your mindset to those publicists that are out there selling you their big packages about how they're going to get you press and all those other things. They're not going to get you really great press opportunities, and they're not going to get you really great opportunities to guest on podcasts. I get people all the time, which is, I don't want to start a podcast. I've got my book and I just want to go and guest. Your book is your only thing, and you don't have anything else that goes with it. No website with deep information, no series of videos, no other background information besides a resume that you state yourself. That's hard to sell for any media specialist right now. And the reality is that it's harder today. Why? Because vetting has to be up there for the really good publications and media outlets, because they can't afford to have someone who's a liability, as Juliet was just pointing out. And to be honest with you, they have lots of choices right now. They can get great, I just got, you know, great authors on my show that I couldn't have gotten otherwise, or podcasters that are top podcasters on my show, because it's easier to get them on right now. And so that's also something to consider, is that those people who you normally couldn't touch have time. So last night, 2 nights ago, I was on a call that was like a group networking event, and I had a NASA scientist, there were people on there who are like normally too busy to show up to this thing. And I was blown away. I mean, rocket scientists and, artists that we've all heard of, famous artists, and they're all struggling because they're all spending time not doing things.
So did Matthew McConaughey bomb your call?
No, he didn't. I forgot her name, but she's an awesome actress. And she did. No, she was in my group. So anyway, yeah. So there's really, this is the thing, is like they all have extra time. So when they get asked, they'll do an outlet that they think, wow, this is going to be interesting and fun. I like the host. This sounds like a great topic. I get to talk about something maybe I don't normally talk about. And so for them, yeah, I'll do it. But so we have a lot more choices right now as media, and we won't just choose someone who doesn't have a strong enough platform. So I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this to encourage you to build that platform as fast as possible, to grow it and keep it strong. So more content can outweigh longevity. Because if you produce more content, if you produce more blogs, more information, more videos, more podcasts, more of that, of you being out there, I have more to check. I have more to consume. I have more topics to look through and see how strong you are, listen to, and discover you, and then maybe fall in love with you and say, like, this is great. Of course I want to have them on my show, or of course I want to write an article about them, right? So more is as good as long, in terms of like, I've been doing this for a decade, right? So we were talking about, like, this happened to me. I have 150 podcasts on my product launch hazards, which I don't produce anymore. And because it's all about product launching, Amazon sellers, supply chain, China, like all that kind of topics in there. And I have 400 articles, so that are all on that same platform. So some outlets reached out to me. These are big media outlets, reached out to me and said, hey, we really like how you talk about, so they obviously watched my content. We really like how you talk about supply chain to make the complex simple. Would you go on our show and talk to our listeners who, or our readers, I'm sorry, our viewers, I got that all backwards because I'm so used to the listeners, right? Listeners and readers are my more common, but viewers to talk about why they can't find stuff on the shelf at Target. And I was like, I would love to help you. It's really, really interesting, but my schedule is so slammed right now. And why do you want me if I haven't produced, information? Is like, because it's so deep, because of how you talk about it. And I said, well, let me give you to someone who I know. And so I actually referred them on to somebody else who I think does just as good a job and has more current, accurate information because he's currently working in the industry. They appreciated that referral. He got on. It was a great show. And he's now established a relationship that he's probably going to be their go-to guy that they'll continue to call every time they want to have an update on what's going on, because tariffs could happen again and like all of these things. So like there's going to be more topics in the future. The media loves to go to their go-to experts, people who they've had on before. So that's also, you're also competing against that. So, but more content works. So thinking about that as you're going on and waiting, like there's so many people out there just waiting to build it. I need to wait till my website's perfect. You know what? You don't.
It'll never be.
Because Google doesn't care what it looks like. The sooner you put those blogs in there, the sooner you'll rank on Google. And they do not care how pretty it is.
Yeah.
If you're not out there marketing, no one's going to see it. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like. This is a dirty secret. So I used to work with a company that had over 1,200 revenue generating websites. And the COO of the company once told me is he knows for certain you can have the most irrelevant, dumbest URL, like name for your website, and it won't matter. They can make it rank. So that has nothing to do with anything. So I have other people who are like, I can't get the name I want. What do I do? Like, like don't let these things hold you back. Just get started, because they can all be changed later. You can get them prettier. You can get them upgraded, but not starting, that's not building your platform. And you need it now, not tomorrow.
That is so true. And I'm just going to say too, that the content is the platform builder. You don't go write a book until you have an audience, and your audience comes from your platform. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes we see is people who go off to these business rah-rah, I want to grow my business. I have products and services that aren't selling, and the guru in the room makes a whole bunch of money because he says, you need a book. People don't know you because you need a book. And the truth is that if you have the platform, you have a built-in audience to sell your book, but you also have feedback from them where they are struggling so that you write the right book. And that's what is so important when people bring us books with the publishing company is, who's your audience? And a lot of times you guys will tell me that your audience is, Danielle Laporte's or Jack Canfield's. And guess what? Those aren't your audiences. Those are their audiences. And they've been building those platforms for years. So you have to get real about building the platform and then writing the book, or building the platform and then getting the feedback before you ever get into all of that other stuff. And once you have the book and that audience, you're more credible. People all the time ask us about, I want a traditional publishing contract. Well, it's great. Do you have 10,000 engaged followers? Because even publishing companies, to get a traditional contract now, they want to know, because they're a business, that you're going to bring people for them. You're going to bring those buyers to the book to make it break even, or at least hopefully make a profit for them. So it's really important to start with that content from day one to find out what's resonating with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I so agree with that. And this is the other thing, is that when you are doing something that has that requirement to have an audience, right? Like, sometimes people are putting something out there that's very deeply personal, right? And so, I get that. That's totally fine. You could do that. That's totally up to you how you want to produce your book and what it's about. And hopefully it touches a few people, and that's really great. But if your goal is business, different model. Your goal is business, community building, mission building, especially if you want to build a mission, you have a passionate mission that you're trying to grow. Those things require you to be more than just a book, more than just, the one thing the course that you put out there, right? You have to have deeper things in order to build that and enrich that community over time. So they look for that. They expect that. That's what they get from other people. But it doesn't mean that you have to have all of that in place and then launch.
Right.
So I'm a fan of launching with the small things that are easier to maintain, like the things where you're going on live stream and you're helping to nurture a community and you're doing that every week at the same time. Do something like that first. Then maybe add the podcast component or the YouTube channel, then the podcast component, then the blog. Like if that's the way you have to go for it. Do it in a way that is really helping to make sure that connection is going on with the audience as well as you're going through. But if you stay in your silo of, I'm an Instagram girl and that's it, and I'm only posting on Instagram, that's the only place all my stuff is, I'm not going to be out there with a website, I'm not going to have this anyway, and that's the kind of exercise fitness person I am, that's great, but you're limiting your audience so narrowly.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not going to serve your business long term. So thinking about those things is about how we can broaden and deepen that platform on an ongoing basis without making it a ton more work. These are things you should be doing if you're community building, if you're planning to sell a book, if you're planning to sell a course. You're going to eventually have to do all that stuff. So the sooner you do it and in small amounts, it makes it a lot simpler and easier. Yeah. The other thing I want to mention about the guest only strategy, going back to that one, Juliet.
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
I know. The guest only strategy, like where they go on and they just like, I just want to guest on podcasts. And the problem is that we're seeing a lot lower traction from those that are like doing this, like, I'm going to guest on 100 different shows, and you don't have anything of your own to offer on the back end except to sell a book. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else on the other side. Is that the traction gets lower and lower the more you do, because you give the same message everywhere. And podcast listeners tend to listen to 7 different podcasts a given week. So once they've heard you once, they're not coming back to listen to you. They will skip your episode. They won't listen to you again. So if they didn't decide to buy the first time, you're not getting a repeat. You're not getting reinforcing your message. They won't give you a chance. They don't bother. So the minute they've heard you say the same thing, they're like done. So that's really important. The other thing is really important is not to say the same thing every time.
Right.
Like I've been on hundreds of shows, but I never say the same thing twice. Today, I just did a show on food, and I don't consider myself a foodie, but I did a show on food and on cooking and on, and that was like a whole fun, right? So, did I get a plug for my business? Yeah, I did. But was it important? No, me being out there and being, in various places was what was important, and serving a community.
Right.
So.
And I'm noticing that podcasters, when you're guesting, are changing up a lot of things. So I was, I don't think it's been released yet, but I was on one last week. And the requirement before you actually got the application and the calendar was you had to go listen to 2 episodes and come back and tell him which 2 episodes and what you got from it. And I think that I really might change my model to that as well, because I'm getting so many people who want to guest and they've never listened. They think it's because it's called Promote, Profit, Publish, that if they have a book, I'll want to take them. And that's not really what the program is about.
Yeah.
So be sure before you do this that you've listened and you have a darn good reason why you would be a good guest for that show. Because people are out there trying to get guest spots and they don't bother to do their homework. Most of them that I turn down have an assistant who's doing it for them. Yeah. And if you come to me and ask me to be on my show without a swap, I probably will charge you a marketing fee. And you would be amazed at how many people are appalled that I would charge them a marketing fee when they've never listened, they're soliciting, and I usually throw it out there because they're not qualified.
Right. That's their way to get them to turn you down. To turn you down. So
but I'm always amazed by the gall. Like, oh, I don't pay for that. Like, you're not anyplace else. So
You're not really, yeah. Well, see, I wouldn't even let anyone pay for my show, because if they weren't good enough, then I don't want to sell out my listeners. So
yeah,
I'm always really cautious about it. I'm not a fan of charging. You'll hear me say that on almost every coaching call. I'm not a fan of it. But let's talk about that too, because I do want to talk about that sort of flip side of it. As a podcaster, I have so many of them to start up and will say, I'm 5 episodes in, when can I take sponsors?
oh, yeah.
Or I just launching, when can I take sponsors? And my answer is, you have not earned the right yet. You have not earned the right yet. Just because you think you're a hot shot somewhere else does not make the podcast audience like you. Until you get binge listeners, you have not earned the right to a sponsor. Now, that being said, you could be in a very simple niche, and you've got JV partnerships and you're going to do sponsorships with them, or you're working with affiliates and other things like that. Those you can do sooner. But true advertising ad sponsors, like that kind of level, first off, you have to have over 20,000 is really the big thing. Over 20,000 listeners per month. And some say they want 20,000 per episode. So it just depends on that. But at 20,000 per month, I see most of them are willing to consider you as a good show. But less than that, you haven't earned the right. So, and you're not going to have that happen before you launch or in your first 5 episodes. It's just not going to happen. My first show, when it was actually a lot easier to launch, it took me 5 months with 0 marketing dollars spent, remind you, because many people do spend. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to get the listenership. But with $0 spent, it took me 5 months to get to 25,000 listens per month. So, but that's interesting, because there was a Forbes article that was written after I hit 25,000 episodes per month. That Forbes article just got us a client this past week. So yeah, so kind of funny that old information out there, right? That's credibility. That's platform right there. So when you earn that publicity, that really pays off again and again. It pays off in dividends. So that's something to really consider and think about. So, overnight sponsors, very few people qualify for that. And if you do, good for you, but I have not seen it yet where it's been successful. They got a sponsor, but it did not end up successful. So, this is the other thing. The platform matters more. And I can't stress this enough. And then the other thing that I want to say is that a platform must involve a website. If you do not have your own website at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter if it has a silly name or if at first it's your name and then you want it to be a business name and you keep changing the name, it does not matter as long as it stays at the core, it stays what it is to Google, like nothing else matters. So just, don't start new things. Like that's another thing that happens all the time. If you've got a YouTube channel that has views and listeners, even if you're like not happy with the videos, or they're not branded for my new brand. Like as you can tell, I've had a couple of female clients who came forward with that one. They're not branded for my new brand. So I want to start up a brand new YouTube channel. And I'll be like, you have 3,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel. Why would you start a new one? Like, I don't, you earn platform value. Just put your new videos on it. It'll bury the old ones. No one will notice.
I know. You can categorize them.
Yeah.
But those on YouTube, that's hard to get those.
It's hard, yeah.
And I think what you need 1,000 just to get
get a name.
Yeah,
just to get your name on it.
Yeah. So keep those platforms you have, even if you're switching over a little bit. I know a lot of people do that with an email list. They'll have a lot of people and, I switched over. That you can subscribe those or give those guys a choice, but don't lose your platform stuff.
Well, and here's a secret. Like those guys out there, like Gary Vee and other people like that, who like flip from one thing, like they're on Instagram, now they're going to TikTok, now, whatever that is. The reality is that they don't give up their old platforms. They still service them in some way, shape, or form, reposting information and doing all of that, even though they may be more active and live in the newest place. That doesn't mean those those places with the seniority of platform that they developed because they were an early adopter into a platform, they didn't give up on that. So that's a channel power, right? But remember, our channels don't do us any good if we don't take our subscribers off of them and bring them back to our platform. They don't sell us business. So bring them back to your website in every way, shape, or form, and send them there, or do whatever you can to make that happen. I was listening the other day to a top podcast that's like run by NPR. And I was so impressed because they could have, because it was it was like some kind of aid agency or something that you could have very well had a shout out to go to, such and such a .org. Right. And so they could have very well done that, but they didn't. They said, go to NPR. .org, because I think they're .org, NPR, and click on the podcast to find all links to where you're going. Exactly what I've been teaching all my clients out there.
Mhm.
Stop giving out other people's URLs. Only give yours. Send people back there and make them go to it.
Right. That's how you get your SEO up.
That's right. So that's, again, platform power, right? Doing all of those different things. So, and then the last thing I want to say is that the publicity on your platform is power. One person who's on live stream right now, Scott Carson, does this brilliantly. So he goes on other people's podcasts and he goes on and does media and all those other things that he does, but he brings those things back to his website, keeps his press page powered up, keeps where he's been featured. He even has a special feed. Like, you can listen to him on the best of Scott Carson on all of the different podcasts that he's been on, right? So that we call that a media vault, like where you have all the shows you've been on and all the different things. And so it's kind of an industry term for publicity, right? And so we want to have a simple place to go there to see what you've said, see what you've done. And when I go through it and I hear that you don't say the same thing again and again and again, I'm like, oh, I want to have him on my show. He's articulate. He's going to be really good. He's deeply knowledgeable in the information. And look how easy. He gave me his bio. Everything's like right there. Like, it's super simple, right? So bringing that, though, back to your website, that pulls back great power. I get a lot of people who all they do is they put Inc. logo, Forbes logo, or like whatever that is on the front page of their website. It doesn't even link to the articles or link to the episode if it was a bunch of podcasts I've been on, just a bunch of pictures. This does no one any good and is not giving you credibility that you were actually on it. It makes me skeptical. So,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so taking that publicity and actually bringing that back to your platform, very important too. Because also that shows me that if I give you the publicity, you know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know how to share it. You know what to do with it. You're going to help me promote whatever it is that I am, which is usually the core show, the core art column, whatever that is.
That's great. So do you guys have any questions?
Yeah.
People that are on? Paul, you missed out last week. You bounced off and Tony came on live.
Yeah, we hot seated.
We hot seated. Well, it doesn't look like they have any questions here. So you guys, next week, we're on again, both of us, and then we're taking the 25th off.
Yeah, we're going to Memorial Day off. Like, I hope it's beautiful for everybody. I hope many of you are out of sequestering by that moment and are taking and enjoying something new. I'm going to go take a ride in my car for sure. Whatever happens, that's going to be down the beach, maybe.
Yep.
That'll be my thing.
Car this weekend.
I did. I bought a new car this weekend. Yeah. So.
All right. Oh, nice job, ladies. Always
you.
good to see you. Thank you, Paul. You're always so nice. All right. Then we will see you next week.
Yeah. Have another great topic for you all. Keep marketing. Make your platform.
Bye.